For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant in London, England at the Defend Media Freedom Conference, co-sponsored by the governments of Canada and the United Kingdom. And I have to say, there's a lot of strange things about the conference. First of all, the fact that myself and our chief reporter, Sheila Gunn-Reid, were accredited to this event is quite a surprise because, as you may know, the Canadian government has banned us from attending any Canadian government press conferences in our own country. And in fact, Canada has directed the United Nations to ban us from conferences around the world. So we were both a little startled to be accepted here. I guess the UK accreditors didn't check with their Canadian counterparts. But that's, I suppose, a good thing. But other than that, a lot of weirdness here before we even start. It's only 8:15. The conference won't even start in earnest for another 45 minutes. The first thing I noticed by looking at the agenda of the conference is it's called a conference on media freedom, but most of the conversations have nothing to do with freedom at all. A lot of it has to do with subsidies. And more perniciously, a lot of it has to do with fighting against what they call fake news. Of course, fake news is in the eye of the beholder. I think that the theory of man-made global warming is fake news. I know, as we all now do, that the theory of Russian collusion with Donald Trump was a 2-year exercise in fake news. So I call that fake news, and a leftist would say my beliefs are fake news. It's simply a difference of opinion. The bulk of this conference has nothing to do with freedom of the press and freedom of speech. It has to do with strengthening establishment voices and squelching dissident voices. I suppose the one thing I could say is positive about the conference agenda is that they're talking about journalists in the third world who are murdered, and they're against that. Well, me too, but how can that possibly be resolved here in London? If a totalitarian regime like Iran or Venezuela or North Korea kills a journalist, there's not much we can do in the West other than issue a diplomatic protest, short of, I don't know, declaring war or something. So I think that is just a bit of a fig leaf to hide the true agenda here. In fact, I feel like this entire exercise is very Orwellian. If you remember the book 1984, George Orwell dubbed the Ministry of War the Ministry of Peace. He dubbed the propaganda ministry the Ministry of Truth. And I think if you're coming to censor the media, if you're coming to censor the internet, you don't say that. You say you're coming to defend the media. It's like the greatest Orwellian name of all time, the Canadian Human Rights Commission, which is actually a censorship body that deals in counterfeit human rights. Now, I'm not saying I have a closed mind. I'm looking forward to what I hear over the next 2 days, and Chrystia Freeland, Canada's foreign minister, will be speaking. It's really curious to see what she has to say as her government back home is racing to bring in censorship powers, including Section 13 of the aforementioned Human Rights Commission, censoring social media, censoring what she calls Islamophobia, censoring anyone that's against open borders immigration, that bizarre 5-man panel internet censorship committee that Michael Wernick was going to be on. So it'll be interesting to see what she says here in London at a swanky soiree with Amal Clooney, the celebrity who's here, how that squares with her gross reality back home. Just like Justin Trudeau, Trudeau prefers to live it up and ham it up with the foreign jet set, where he can sort of pretend to be better than he is. When he's back in Canada, we see his true nature. It'll be interesting to see if Chrystia Freeland is a grubby censor here in London, or if she says all the right things about press freedom and maybe poses for a photo with Amal Clooney. I'll be here for the next 2 days, as will our chief reporter, Sheila Gunn-Reid. I will be ducking out for a couple of hours in perhaps the most ironic twists of this visit yet. And that is literally as Jeremy Hunt, Chrystia Freeland's British counterpart, takes the stage tomorrow, at that same moment, across London at the Old Bailey, Tommy Robinson, a citizen journalist, will be sentenced for contempt of court, and it is most likely that he'll be thrown back in prison at the same hour, in the same city, as the British government packs off a dissident journalist to prison. Jeremy Hunt of the British government will be hamming up just how much he loves freedom of speech. That's the Orwellian nature of the event we're at. Well, that's it for now. I look forward to giving you reports throughout the day. You can see all of our reports at one place. It's the mediafreedomconference.com. There's no the, and it's just www.mediafreedomconference.com. That's the special compilation page where all of my videos and Sheila Gunn Reid's videos will be. By the way, if you want to chip in to help cover the cost of my travel and Sheila's travel from Canada and the cost of our local freelance cameraman, you can do that there. I estimate that the cost of our visit to cover this and Tommy's sentencing hearing is about 4,500 Canadian dollars. We travel economy class, we stay in 3-star hotels, and we eat on the cheap. Lots of free food here, by the way. If you feel like chipping in $5 or $10 or £5 or £10, I'd be most grateful. You can do that at mediafreedomconference.com. All right, I'll keep fighting for freedom as long as I can. We'll talk to you soon. I'm here in the United Kingdom for the Media Freedom Conference that appears to be anything but. It's an Orwellian gathering of the Canadian and British governments who are both engaging in massive censorship on social media, but they're going to swan about a bit with celebrities like Amal Clooney pretending they believe in civil liberties. We'll see over the course of the next 2 days if they will. If you want to see all our videos and chip in to cover our journalistic costs, we're independent, unlike most media here, please go to mediafreedomconference.com.